Carter, are you crying? That's my job. So, I think it was about 30 minutes ago, Brian asked me if I decided what I was going to speak about yet. I said no. And I'm still not 100% sure. As the men that's been here before and the team, I always do my testimony. And because I think a lot of men need to know about marriages and how to save their marriages and how to be a man, a spiritual leader of their house. But I felt like God's been speaking faith, the word faith, to me. I think a lot of men are on the edge of losing their faith. And I think there's some men in here that this is it. This is your last chance. If this fails, you're going back downhill. So, first time I have no notes. It's all coming from right here. And I feel like there's men out here that are struggling in a marriage. And there's one reason why you're struggling, because you're not being the man that God designed you to be. So I'm going to try to tie both faith and marriage and my testimony into 23 minutes. But I can go over. They won't say anything to me. No, I respect everybody's time here. I won't do that. God created us to lead our homes, lead our families. How many men in this room are doing that? I know there's some that do, but there's a lot of us that don't. As Mike said earlier today, I found God about 5 years ago. And once you find God and you're obedient, man, what he can do. And you know what makes it even better? If you and your wife are on the same page. But what makes it better is if you're leading your family. How many of you men out here pray with your wife daily? Some hands. If you're not praying with your wife daily, why not? You scared? I was. I was scared to death. But God did not give us the spirit of fear. That comes from the enemy. So if you're scared to pray with your wife, get on your knees. How many men in here on Sunday mornings go to church? How many of y'all getting up before your wife does and get the kids ready and get breakfast fixed? A lot less hands, because we depend on our wives to do that. Why? That's not being a leader. You're the leader of your house. You're supposed to guide, guard, and govern your home. You should be the one getting up in the mornings, making sure the kids are ready so your wife can get herself ready, and you lead your family to church. And not worrying about getting home in time to watch the Cowboys play. Why are we watching football for anyway? Right. But God should be entertaining us. We should be entertaining him for his glory. How many men in here have children and you've never prayed over your kids? Or never said a father's blessing over their kids? All this I'm saying, I never did. We were married 26 years, never prayed once for my family or for my kids. Never once. And after 26 years of marriage, my wife had had enough. There was times throughout our marriage where she would ask me to lead the family, and I thought I was doing that. I thought I was leading the family. I thought that having a job, paying the bills, having a roof over their head, that was leading the family. That's not what she needed. She needed that spiritual leader. And like a lot of men in here, we were never taught this. We were taught how to have a worldly man and to lead our families that way, never to spiritually lead, because our fathers didn't teach us that. But sometimes you're forced into a situation to where you got to step up and lead and stop letting your wife lead. That's not her role. That's our role. But then you become this Christ-like man, and you're ready to lead the family, and now you're asking her to step back, let you lead. Why should she trust you? You hadn't led in all these years. Why you start leading now? So you got to build trust. You got to show her. So 26 years of marriage, it was at the point in our relationship that she was done. Last night, like Dan's daughter came up here and spoke. I know how he felt over there, because I would hate for my wife to come here and tell you what she felt about me at that time. It'd break my heart. She said it made her sick to look at me. It made her sick to touch me, to hold my hands, because she was not in love with me. She'd fallen out of love because of me not stepping up and being the man that I should have been, not leading my family. 26 years of marriage. I never led my family to church. I didn't care about God. I didn't believe in God. But one day in Houston, we were living in Houston at the time, she took my daughter to school. After school, picked her up, took her home to change, and took my daughter to her job. On the way back home, my wife was just feeling empty. She pulled into the garage, shut the garage door, rolled the window down, left the car running. And she was done. She was done with me, done with life. But she heard God tell her, don't do this, come find me. So that night she went to church without me. And I loved my wife. She was my princess. I was in love with her. In fact, I loved her more and more every day. But she was going the opposite direction. So that night she comes home. I said, where did you go? So I went to church. And I said, you did? And she goes, yeah. And like a real man, I said, next time can I go with you? Well, what a man, right? And she said, sure. So I started thinking, if I would go to church and show my wife that I care about all this kind of stuff, then it would change her heart, and she'd fall back in love with me. I didn't care about all this stuff. I was trying to trick her into loving me. But guess who I wasn't tricking? God knew what he was doing. So I go to church with her, and at that time we were going to Lakewood, or she was going to Lakewood. And I walk in that sanctuary with 8,000-9,000 people, and I'm looking around and just couldn't believe it. All the people that were going to worship something. And during praise and worship, all these people are standing up and their hands are in the air, and I'm just looking around, look at all the nuts in this place. But God was working on me. And so as this journey kept continuing, I kept going to do different things for church. I would go to a marriage class. I started taking a man's class called Maximize Manhood. But I was still just doing it to try to convince her that I cared. But things started happening. I would come home from work, and I would be crying. And she said, why are you crying? I'm like, I don't know why I'm crying. I just started crying. God was softening my heart. He was working on me. But I didn't know what was going on. So I kept on taking this class called Maximize Manhood and learning a lot of things I'm telling you guys about being the spiritual leader of your house. And there's things that I learned that I had no clue about. I'd never heard about in my life. My father didn't teach me. Nobody taught me this stuff. But these books and these men that are in this class started speaking life into me. And I felt a change going on. And I felt my wife becoming more closer to me. And I'm not telling my whole testimony because I've got something else I got to talk about. But she started taking the class also, a woman's class, but the same books. And so she was learning everything that I wasn't doing. So that kind of put a lot of pressure on me. But about 8 months into that class, my heart was changing. And I could feel the tug of God on my life and things starting to change. And then I was invited to a men's encounter in Houston. And didn't want to go. I was asked multiple times, like some of you guys here. Really didn't want to go. But I kind of got pressured into it. And I decided to go to it. And like a lot of you men here, you're going to be walking out different this evening than you walked in. You're going to walk out a different man. That's what happened to me. And my life really started fast-pacing. I mean, I wanted to soak it up. I wanted everything that God could give me. I wanted to be involved in everything I could be involved in the church because I wanted to learn what I haven't learned in back then it was 48 years of my life. And so it's amazing because Richard Bright over here, he was talking a while ago how amazing what God has done. And the men that have come through this encounter because of my obedience. Well, I had to let him know that it wasn't my obedience, it was his. Because 5 years ago, about 4 years ago now, we had our first grandbaby born in Rockwall. We lived in Houston. And we were torn what to do because we loved our church. We were at the church 4 nights a week, and we just loved it. We didn't want to leave. We had a lot of friends in Houston. In fact, some are here today. And we had dinner one night with Richard and Sherry, his wife, and we were telling Richard and Sherry what was going on, and we didn't know what to do. And Richard just said, the Holy Spirit's telling me, go. Leave Houston, go back home. Now, I don't think Richard wanted us to leave, but we obeyed. Thanks, Richard. Because it would have been for Richard, this wouldn't be going on right now. So we moved back here and kept going to the encounters back in Houston as a team member. These men in black shirts. Invited my good friend Brian and Sean, and came back here like, guys, we got to do this. We got to do a men's encounter back home, and this is what it's turned into. Guys, step up. Stop being wimps. Step up and lead your family. And along the journey, I know it's hard to keep your faith all the time. I know it's hard to always be spiritually led and to walk in the footsteps God wants you to walk in, because you lose that faith because of the world outside of us. But it's when you have a crack in your foundation at home and you put a patch on it, what's going to happen? It's going to crack again. Because we're not digging down deep to find the root of the issue. You got to dig down deep to find what the root of your issue is. You know, going to church on Sundays is not it. Because what are you doing the rest of the 6 days of the week? How can you build foundation going to church one day a week? Guys, to build a sturdy, firm foundation, you need to pray with your wife every night. You need to be in conversation with God every day. Get in a small group. Be around like-minded men. Would you rather be around these men or the men at your job? But you spend more time with your men at your job than you do with these men. So I talked about Maximize Manhood. Guys, we have a sign-up sheet for Maximize Manhood in the back. It will change your life. Everybody that is either graduated or involved in Maximize Manhood right now, please stand up. You guys that aren't standing up can ask any one of these men that are standing up right now, and they'll tell you, get in Maximize Manhood. Take the class. Thank you, guys. Bold. Brian Stewart has his Bold group. Sign up for that. Get involved in a small group. Get involved with men. If nothing else, go have breakfast once a week with some men. They're like-minded. Get on your knees. Get in a relationship with God. Get in your Bible. Build a firm foundation. If you don't, it's going to crack again. Because how can you have not a firm foundation and lead your family? When your faith is not where it should be, how can your family have that faith? It's kind of like what Dan's daughter talked about yesterday. The bar was set down here. Guys, don't set the bar down here. Bring it up. Pray with your children. I challenge every one of you, starting tonight when you get home, pray with your wife for 1 week and see if it doesn't change everything. Guys, I can speak up here all day about this stuff, but it's up to you. It's up to you being humbled and asking God to change your life. So if you're struggling in your marriage, ask God for help. If I was to ask your wife, does your husband lead your family, what would she say? And if the answer is no, then you got to change. Because if you don't change, it'll keep going the same way it's going now. Stop trying to do it on your own, put God in the center of your marriage. When we were still in Houston, I came home from work one day, lights were off, and there were some candles lit. And there was a note on the bar saying, go upstairs, take a shower, and come meet me in the bedroom. I was like, yes. You know, she's back in love with me. So I go take a shower, wrap a towel around me, go upstairs. And she's sitting on the ground with some candles lit, some things over here I couldn't tell what they were. And I sat down beside her, and man, I was ready. And she handed me a piece of paper. She said, read this. And so I read about a 2-page letter explaining to me that she had had an affair on me 3 times. And if I was willing to forgive her, then we would start our marriage over fresh and put 100% towards it and put God in the middle of it. If I chose not to forgive her, that we would figure it out and go our separate ways. You know, when we don't forgive, we put ourselves over God, because God forgives everything we ever done in our lives. So I forgave her, and I told her about some things I have done. We basically cleaned ourselves out. And after I read that letter, she took her towel off and said, I'm totally clean, have nothing more to hide. And from that point on, our marriage was changed. It's about getting that junk out. And I'm not going to name the person, but there was somebody that I just felt have some major unforgiveness. And there's many of you out here that have somebody in their life that you have not forgiven for whatever they did to you. If you retain that unforgiveness, it just stays inside of you. You've got to release it. You've got to forgive. Guys, unforgiveness will tear you up inside. And so I had to forgive my wife for what she did, and she forgave me for things I did. We basically cleaned ourselves out and started our marriage over after 26 years of marriage. And guys, the past 26 years of marriage, we were not good. We did a lot of bad things. A lot of fun things. But that's not what God intended us to do. God renewed our relationship and changed our marriage. If he can do it for us, he can do it for anybody out here. Guys, I'm 3 minutes ahead of schedule, which I know Sean's going to be very happy about. Guys, you know, I just can't express how happy and how much we love every one of you for coming to the encounter. And, you know, it's not about any kind of money. It's not about, it's only about the men coming here and getting that relationship with God, encountering God. That's what this is all about. So please spread the word. Get it out there. Let men know about this. We're not done. We got many more to come. And each one gets better and better and better. Some of you want to know, well, how would it get even better than this? Believe me, it does. Spread the word. This is what men need. This is what the country needs. Men rising up, being leaders of our house, and guiding our families, and guarding our families, and governing our families. So guys, you know, this day's just started. We've got so much more planned. We've got some incredible, incredible speakers coming up. And I just can't wait to see what God does. And at the end of it, we have a very special surprise for you. Guys, we love y'all. Thank you so much.